Welcome to the Soulful Success by Design podcast. I'm Kendra Woods, your host, and a former corporate healthcare executive turned entrepreneur. After battling burnout, I discovered the magic of human design. As a 6'2" splenic projector, I am here to lead you on a journey of self-discovery, self-mastery, and unstoppable growth. So join me as we dive into the world of human design, mindset, energetics, and aligned success. We will talk about the highs and the lows of creating soulful and meaningful success in your life and business on your terms. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome back, everybody, to the Soulful Success by Design podcast, where we explore the inner landscape of self-mastery, alignment, and soul-led success. So I'm your host, Kendra, and this month, we're anchoring into this energy and this vibe of the sovereign summer. And this is really a time where we're consciously releasing the pressure to prove and choosing instead to step into our truth, our vitality, our inner power. And so today's episode is one that I've been deeply looking forward to. We're going beneath the surface here in this conversation in the world of holistic healing and how our bodies are communicating with us on a physical, emotional, and energetic level all the time. I'm joined by the radiant and deeply wise Hope Pedraza, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, human design guide, hypnotherapist, and founder of inBalance, a Pilates-based fitness franchise. She's also the host of the Hopeful and Wholesome podcast. And Hope helps women, entrepreneurs, and high performers optimize energy and well-being through functional labs, human design, and subconscious reprogramming, empowering them to thrive and amplify their impact in business and life. Hope, welcome to the show. I'm so honored to have you here.
Thanks, Kendra. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Me too. Me too. All right. So I already know that today's conversation is going to leave our listeners feeling both grounded, feeling activated. So we're just going to dive into the conversation here. And I want to really begin by sharing what mineral balancing is. Like, I really just want to start at the root of things and really
Yeah.
talk about what that is. Some of my listeners probably have never heard it before. And I want to talk about why it's so deeply connected to both our physical health and also our emotional state. So,
Mhm.
for someone who's new to this, how would you describe what it is and why it even matters for us?
Yeah, this is a perfect place to start because it is literally starting at the root of things. Like if you want to know how to start creating balance at a foundational level, this is it. So minerals are considered spark plugs of the body, meaning that basically every reaction in the body involves minerals, whether they're the catalyst or the cofactor, they're involved in some way, shape, or form. Every hormone, neurotransmitter, enzyme, you name it, minerals are involved. So I think a lot of times, I women who come to me that are just like, fix my hormones. Just I want my hormones to be fixed. And that's fine. I'd love to fix your hormones, but we're never going to start with the hormones because we have to go at that deepest foundational level. At a cellular level, what's happening is what's happening with your minerals. And I think another thing about minerals that people don't know is yes, it is affecting, how your hormones are functioning and your immune system and your blood sugar and all these things. But it can also affect your emotional state and your mood because it isn't affecting your neurotransmitters and these things that are affecting how our brain is functioning, that gut brain connection. I've had clients before who, thought they were like severely ADHD and were like inches away from getting on medication. And it's like, oh no, it was just your minerals. So it affects us at every level, mentally, emotionally, physically. Minerals are, to me, that's where it all starts.
Wow, that is fabulous. Okay, so let's talk about then like how this might show up in how it would manifest in our lives. Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I mean, obviously, like you said, I could see myself saying something like, "Oh, I think it's my hormones. I think it's my hormones." We immediately go there.
For
Nobody
sure.
ever thinks about like the minerals side of it.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned some here about how it affects your mood, obviously, but what are some of the most common signs that like your minerals might be out of balance, I should
Mhm.
say? And how have you seen that that's impacted, in your experience, women's emotional and energetic well-being?
Yeah. So I think this is the interesting thing about minerals is, and this is why I think it's so often either brushed over or it's just something that's not ever really addressed. I don't think people really understand like how much everything is affected by our minerals, but also because a lot of it is just kind of I don't want to like downplay it, but just very generic symptoms like low energy. Low energy is probably the number one. And that could be anything, literally anything. So when you say like, oh, I have low energy, the doctor's like, okay, cool. Like it doesn't really tell them much. But low energy is a really big one. Brain fog, and I mentioned like kind of that mental capacity. I've had lots of clients who have thought they had ADHD or ADD or why am I forgetting things? So overall brain function, neurological function, brain like memory, concentration. Another one too, it could be joint pain. It could be easily fatigued, like rather than if exercise should, make you feel better, make you feel energized. And if it makes you feel the opposite, that's another sign. And even things that you would attribute to your hormones, right? If you have crazy periods, if you have painful periods, they're long, they're short, they're not regular. Things, fertility issues, reproductive issues, really crazy perimenopause symptoms. I have a lot of perimenopausal clients. All of the things that we would blame on our hormones. And I'm not saying it's not our hormones, but again, your hormones are just little chemical messengers and they're just telling us what's going on in the body. It's never the root cause. So, yes, we can say your hormones are dysfunctional or not functioning or malfunctioning or whatever, but we have to look like 10 layers deeper to really understand why they are not functioning optimally.
Yes. Okay, so I'm loving this because I'm thinking about myself, the women that you and I both work with. We kind of have like some overlapping audiences, and our women are like they're ambitious, right? Like
Yeah.
they're ambitious. They want big lives, full lives. They want to be full of vitality. They have big dreams. They're visionaries.
Hmm.
And immediately what I'm thinking is, oh my gosh, how does this affect your mindset? Because what
Yeah.
I hear is this conversation of what is wrong with me. Something must be wrong with me. I'm not thinking like I normally do. I'm not thinking clearly.
Yes.
What I used to be able to do, I can't do. And then a lot of times, like you said, yeah, we attribute it to, oh, well, I'm in my 40s now, or I'm in my mid 40s, or I'm just getting older. And I've
Hmm.
always been like, no, like there has to be something else. So, can we talk a little bit about when you say minerals? I want to get real basic here. Like, what kind of minerals?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
give
it's a
us some
good question.
examples.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. So there are obviously a ton of them that we could talk about, but
Yeah.
I think the most important ones to talk about are the four macro minerals. Macro, just like it sounds, it's the ones we need the most of, we use the most of, and we lose the most of. And that's calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. Those are the big four. And really, the ones, and I hone in on all four of those, and they all show up differently. I would say magnesium and potassium are probably two of the most common deficiencies that I see. I mean, I would say it's like 9 times out of 10, there's deficiencies happening. And sodium is typically, there's sort of an imbalance there too. And the reason being, if we're talking about high achieving women, women who are doing the thing, right? They're doing all the things. We are asking a lot of our adrenals. Our adrenals are the little glands responsible for our stress response, right? And I think we all know about cortisol and the cortisol response. I think everybody here is familiar with that. And the problem is, especially when you get to about 40 and beyond, we we've already been asking a lot of our adrenals up until then, but when we get to 40 and beyond, we're getting closer to that perimenopausal and menopausal stage. And so when we get to those stages, right, our ovaries are now going to be producing less estrogen and our adrenals have to take over. Our adrenals are also responsible for producing a lot of our progesterone. So now not only are we asking our adrenals to help us with our stress response, cortisol response, which that also affects blood sugar. Now we're asking it to, hey, pick up the slack now and you got to help with my estrogen and progesterone. Like we're asking a lot for adrenals. And our adrenals use more sodium than any other part of the body. It uses a ton of magnesium. Magnesium is used, depending on what study you look at, anywhere from 400 to 600 different reactions in the body. We use a lot of magnesium, which is why the majority of us are deficient or borderline deficient in magnesium. So those two minerals alone, when we're operating at a high level and we're asking our bodies and our adrenals to do a lot, I mean, you better believe there's going to be some imbalances there because we're asking it to do a lot. And then potassium, the other one that I mentioned, that one also, it's responsible for a lot of the stuff with our adrenals does. But the other thing with potassium, our thyroid and our adrenals have to talk to each other. They have a really special relationship. And our thyroid, if you're not familiar with that, your listeners aren't familiar with what the thyroid does, it's responsible for the basic just kind of a basic overview. It's metabolism and energy, right? Physical energy, metabolism.
Mm.
And our adrenals and thyroid have to talk to each other. Potassium is responsible for helping our thyroid hormone get inside the cell. Every cell has thyroid hormone or thyroid hormone receptors to let the thyroid hormone come in.
Mhm.
And potassium is what helps shuttle that in. So when we're deficient in potassium,
Mm.
our metabolism is going to take a hit, our energy is going to take a hit.
Wow.
So you see how all of this is connected.
Oh, this is so fascinating because yes, because it's all connected and it's like if
Hmm.
one is off, it's almost like well, this has been my experience. I don't know if you would validate this, but I feel like it was like a domino effect. It was like
100%.
right, like well,
Yep.
this was off, now this is off,
Yep.
that's off, now this
It's
off,
just a
and that was
cascade effect. Yes.
yes. So, like as you know, this season right now in the show, we're talking about the vibe of like sovereignty, right? Women reclaiming their power, reclaiming their energy, reclaiming their voice, and I feel like this needs to be a bigger conversation about this around like women. This is one way you can again reclaim your sovereignty, right? Especially in your health and your body when you have this long-term vision of the life you want to create, the legacies that you're wanting to build. It's like we have to take our whole self into account. It's not just, we talk business, right? Like I can talk about business strategy and all these things, but we are the vehicles behind our business. So it's like if our vehicle, i.e., our bodies, are not performing optimally, then I feel like that also means, right, that our businesses can't perform optimally either.
100%.
Yeah.
What you said, I tell to my clients all the time. I call it your vehicle, your vessel, your vessel. You said vehicle, I say vessel. You have one vessel to bring this mission forward to life, bring it to life, bring it to the collective. And your business is only as healthy as this vessel that you have. It's only as healthy as your body. And if your body is ripping apart at the seams, eventually it's going to show up in your business. And your business, you're either going to hit a plateau or your business is going to start ripping apart at the seams because your vessel cannot sustain it. So no,
Mhm.
I 100% am with you on that. And I really think I feel like a lot of women are waking up to this, but I still feel like we have a long way to go
Yeah.
with I always hate to use the word hustle culture because it's so like we use it so much. It's like we're so numb to it now, but it is. I mean, we get caught up in the hustle, we get caught up in the go go go. And the other thing is too, we have big dreams. Like we have a big vision and we want to see it come to life. And so it's just like gotta keep going, gotta keep going. And I think that there's still a long way for us to go in helping all of us women visionaries to really understand how crucial it is to prioritize our well-being above all else.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, that has been a huge lesson for me because for a long time I didn't realize I was sacrificing my well-being for quote unquote success,
Totally.
right? Like I did that in the corporate world and then I kind of took that same energy and brought it into my business.
Yeah.
And then I hit 40 and then things just started like, I mean, honey, when I hit 40, my body started talking to me in ways. I was like, wait a minute, like what is going on? And so I really had to pause and
Yeah.
listen and say, okay, let me get some help. Let me figure this out. Let me, move through this in an empowered way.
Right.
And educating myself on things just like this was my
That's
way
it.
of like taking back my power
That's it.
and moving into that space.
Yeah.
So Hope, you also talk a lot about like energy, chakras, the emotional body, things like that. So kind of segueing from minerals into chakras, like do you build this connection? And I believe you do, this beautiful connection
Hmm.
between minerals and the chakra system. Can you walk
Yeah.
us through that connection a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So my favorite thing to talk about with my clients is bridging the gap between the science and the energetics, like the science and the
Yes.
spirituality. This is my favorite thing because I think, so often we compartmentalize all of these things and think we have to talk about them separate, but it's all connected. Everything's all connected. So when we talk about the energy centers or the chakras, whatever word you want to use, all of your chakras are associated with specific glands, which are responsible for emitting specific hormones. And so with that, this is how we connect to these things because all of our hormones need and these glands need specific minerals to function optimally. So that's where all of the connection comes in. So if we look at, I bring human design into the work that I do. So we're looking at your energy centers. And well, the first thing I would do, I'll just walk you through that. The first thing I would do would be looking at the lab. So I run functional labs as a functional practitioner.
Mhm.
And the labs really are just for, I mean, a lot of it is for validation, but a lot of it is for we have empirical data in front of us to see exactly what's going
Yeah.
on in your body. I don't have to guess. I don't have to wonder, is it your adrenals? Is it your gut? Is it your, right? We have the data
Mhm.
in front of us. I don't have to guess. From there, then I can look at your human design, look at your body graph and just, and see, okay, this and that is going on with your adrenals or your estrogen or whatever.
Mhm.
This is where on your body graph, we look at the energy centers. Oh, okay, you have these centers defined versus undefined, and this is how this that. So then we can start to look at how is energy designed to flow through these centers? Why is it showing up in these specific parts of your body? Where can we optimize how your energy is meant to flow? And then we can connect the minerals to that because then we can use the minerals to balance those specific centers, and it all comes together in this glorious
Mm.
masterpiece.
I love it. It's like, again, a whole picture.
Yeah,
It
it
is a whole
is.
picture
Yeah.
because we are not only just physical beings, we are spiritual beings, we are energetic beings, we're emotional beings. And you're absolutely right. We can't just compartmentalize those things and think they all work separate. They do
Yep.
not.
They do
Just like our
not.
hormones don't ever work separate of one
Right.
another, or
Right.
it's all again, a holistic approach. So can you talk about like how do you help clients identify? You kind of talked about this a little bit, and maybe we'll dive into this human design conversation now because now I'm intrigued. So, and maybe we can dive into an example if you're okay with this.
Yeah.
So let's say,
Yeah.
for example, like I'll use my human design chart. I have a defined root center,
Okay.
and I have learned just through my own journey, like I had adrenal burnout a couple of times. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the adrenal glands, I believe, are in like the root center
Correct. That's
in humans,
right.
right? Okay.
Hmm.
So, like, walk me through, like, what might that look like if I come to you and I'm like, Hope, like, I am just, I can tell my adrenals are just completely
Yeah.
drained. I don't have any physical proof necessarily,
Yes.
but I just feel like
Feel
that's the
it. Yeah.
thing. Like, what would you say to that? Like,
Hmm.
what would that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a common one. I would say the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, I feel like are probably the three
Okay.
most common that where the issues are showing up.
Mhm.
And the root, actually, mine is undefined, and I had my own issues with an undefined root, right?
Awesome.
So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you, it's the internal pressure, right? The internal pressure to
Mm.
get things done. So, and I've had so many clients with the same thing,
Yeah.
and so there's a couple ways. Obviously, we're going to address things in a holistic way. So we're going to address your adrenals physically, right? There'd be specific foods and supplements and ways to detox to help balance and create balance there in the adrenals. Specific
Mhm.
minerals, right? We'd really hone in on the magnesium and the sodium and the potassium, the ones that we've already talked about. But then
Yeah.
we also want to work to rewire your relationship with the doing, right? That's the rewiring that
Mm.
happens. We want to work on the relationship with the doing.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of my clients, it's about building, cultivating safety around rest. It doesn't feel
Oh
safe
my
to
God.
rest. So yeah, that's a big one, right? Same for you. Is that the big one
Yes.
for you?
I didn't want to interrupt you, but
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's feeling safe to rest. I'm
yeah.
just talking about that. I recorded an episode earlier and I was just talking about my own journey of just feeling safe in my body to
Hmm.
rest
Hmm.
and noticing how like my nervous system in the beginning was just like, what?
What
Like,
are
what are
you
we
doing?
doing?
Yes, yes. I was talking in a gals group yesterday. She has like a somatic nervous system group, and she asked me to come in and
Mhm.
talk to her ladies, and we were talking about that yesterday. And that was the thing that struck a chord with almost every woman in there. And they all had their own story about the rest thing, and it's so ingrained. And I mean, I could go off for hours on this. I'd have a whole series in my podcast about this too. It's so ingrained in us, and we see it as, a lot of times we see it, we mask it as ambition. I'm just ambitious. I'm dedicated, and but it's really a trauma response because we don't feel safe to rest. It doesn't feel safe. And then like one of the gals yesterday, she said, I realized that I thought I was resting, but when I was quote unquote resting, I was like scrolling through social media or like completely vegging out on Netflix. And I was like, oh, you're dissociating. You're not actually resting, you're just dissociating. And so it's, God, man, it's such a complex thing there. It's so complex, but it is a real thing. And I find women, especially, there's so much rewiring that has to happen around that, just cultivating that rest is safe.
Exactly, exactly. I love this so much because I feel like it reminds me, of what I see in my work too, where it like the burnout, the resistance, the frustration, it's not just a mindset thing.
Yeah.
I had this pivotal moment like years ago where, because I started out, everything was mindset for me. Mindset, 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 mindset. And it still is, don't get me wrong. But then I recognized, I'm like, wait a minute. Like there's something deeper here. It's not just the mindset thing. Like there's stuff going on in the body too,
It's your
right? It's
body.
also a
Yeah.
body
It's in the
thing.
body.
It's a frequency thing. And we have to meet it at its source. Like I feel like you've got to meet both parts, right?
Yeah.
Meet the mindset, meet the body, meet the
Yeah.
inner, like there's
Yeah.
all these different angles.
I agree.
So good. And rest is such a, oh gosh, yeah, that's a whole nother
Yeah,
conversation.
it
Oh my
is.
gosh. All right. So let's talk about, because you also work on the subconscious mind, right? So you and I were in a certification together last year and we learned so many good
So
things.
many things.
And so I want to talk to you about like how do you weave that into your work? So what would you say, or how, I guess I should say, how do you integrate the subconscious mind work in with the
Yeah.
work with, your human design and, the functionality of your body,
hmm
energetics, things like that?
Yeah, so the subconscious work for me is like the third layer of what I do, right? So I talked about the labs and then I tie the labs to the human design. And then once we understand the energetics around the human design, that's when we bring in the subconscious piece. So for your example that you gave earlier with your root center, we would, work to rewire that. We would talk about and work to rewire your relationship, your feelings in your body about rest. And we would work to rewire whatever else is coming up that's making you feel unsafe around rest and the doing. And then we'd see what else was showing up too. There's a lot of women, like I said, the sacral and solar plexus are probably the other two most common centers that I work with because that's where so much shows up. The sacral, for example, the sacral center is the center where the emotion shame lives. And again, that's another conversation where I could talk about for the next 5 hours on that. But that's another big one that I have to work with my clients because it's just like the rest thing. I mean, we are born with shame. Generationally, it is
Right.
in our DNA. We are
Mm-hmm.
born with it. And then we have our own life experience that just compounds it from,
Mm-hmm.
that again, another conversation for another day. But the point is, this is another one that there's a lot of detangling, rewiring that has to happen. So that's where the subconscious works in. We work, it's for the deconditioning process and rewiring our relationship with shame and guilt and anger and all these other emotions that we find in the body. I do a lot of body-based work to find out where these things are in the body. And so, yeah, we do use all the subconscious work to rewire that. Because like you said, it is, yes, there is a mindset component, but I really feel, and even before doing the certification we did last year, I was integrating a lot of body-based stuff, and that was really why I brought that stuff in because I really feel like 90% of the time, most of it's not mindset. Like, yes, mindset is
Mm-hmm.
involved, but I think it's such a small percentage. I really think it's body based. It's a somatic
Mm-hmm.
thing. And which is why so many people can do the mindset work and the affirmations and all of that. And which are, those all have their benefits. I'm not poo-pooing
Mm-hmm.
any of that. But I
Right.
think it just has to go along with that body-based work to really get into the body of, why isn't it sticking? Why isn't it quote unquote working?
Exactly. And that's where I have in my own experience experienced the biggest acceleration is when I
hmm
started paying attention to the body piece of it,
Yes,
right?
same.
And because I do a lot of work like around identity too. And it's
hmm
like, all right, like, and we hear this all the time, like, okay, just show up as that next level version of yourself. And that sounds amazing and great. And you're like,
Sounds, yeah,
yeah,
so simple.
great. Sounds simple. It's until you then start to, well, take the action. Well, what would the wealthy version of you do? Oh, well, she would show up every day in her business and she would sell. And your body goes, nope,
hmm
not doing that, not happening. And it's like
hmm
you want to do it, but it's like your body is quite literally like got this grip on you, this vice grip
Yes.
of like, no, 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 we're not doing that because that doesn't feel safe. And what if we get
Yes.
judged? And what if Chris, and just all this stuff comes up, right?
Yep.
And so it's like loosening. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like the subconscious work is almost like loosening the grip a little bit. It's almost like your
Yeah.
nervous system kind of just relaxes. It
Yeah.
goes, oh, okay, it's safe. I didn't realize that because I've just been like
Yep.
stuck in this on position for so long. I thought this was
Yes.
normal.
Yep, 100%. And that's the thing. And I say this all the time. Our bodies are so good at adapting. And so it ends up
Right.
being our normal, right? Our where we are is the threshold. It is our quote unquote normal. And I had a client a couple weeks ago tell me, something about that where she said, I really didn't think I felt like trash coming to you. Like I didn't feel like crap. Like I
Mhm.
didn't feel horrible, but I knew there were things I could improve. And she's like, I didn't realize how good I could actually feel because my baseline was like, but it was normal. So we don't
Mhm.
know how good we can actually feel. We don't even know what's possible.
We don't. And that's the mind-blowing piece because I had that same experience when I worked with a functional medicine practitioner a couple of years ago. And I remember telling her, I was like, I didn't realize I was stressed, like
Yeah.
this stressed, right?
Right.
And then like once we got into the program, I was doing the things. I remember driving my car and I voice memoed her and I was like, I feel like I could just like leap out of my car. I'm like, I feel amazing. And I was like, I didn't even know. And it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
So,
exactly it.
oh my gosh. Okay. All right, Hope. So if a woman is listening to this right now and she's feeling disconnected from her body or burned out, what would you say are just like some simple 1 to 2 simple practices that she could begin today to support deeper sovereignty, like in her
Yeah.
wellness?
Yeah. I think the first piece, which is the boring, like not sexy thing people want to hear about, but I think the first piece is just be with yourself and just bring in awareness. And again, I know this is very boring and people are like, okay, yeah, whatever. But it's kind of like what we were just saying, where a lot of times you don't know what you don't know and you don't know how good you could possibly feel. A lot of times we are so good at doing the thing that we don't take the time and space to be with ourselves and we don't know what's going to come up. And you'd be amazed at the signs and the signals that your body has been trying to send you if you take the time and the space to get quiet and let it speak so you can listen to it. So I
Mhm.
think just taking the time and space to be with your body and be aware, like do a quick body scan a couple times a day to check in. Do I feel resistance? Do I feel anything weird happening? Does anything feel not great? Because that's the thing. You can go through life feeling okay. You can feel
Mhm.
okay. I don't want to just feel okay because I don't want to build just an okay business. Like I want to feel fantastic. I want to feel optimal. I want to build something that has never been built before. And I have to have a body that feels the same way. So if you want to build the optimal body, then it requires this awareness piece for you to listen to it and attend to it and trust it and honor what it's saying. So that's the first piece. The second piece, I would say, just kind of going back to the minerals we were talking about earlier, and again, I could talk so long about all the minerals, but if you wanted just a couple things to get started, magnesium. I am always a food first person. I'm always food first and then fill in the gaps with the supplements. Magnesium is one of the ones I feel like every human should be taking. My kids take it, my husband, I take it. Magnesium, because so many of us are deficient, our food sources are just, I mean, there's studies on this. You can look at the quality of the nutritional density of our food from the 1950s to now.
Mhm.
It's not the same. And so magnesium is one of those, like if you're not supplementing with magnesium, go get you a good magnesium glycinate supplement. It could change your life if you're not using it. And then sodium is another one. And I know I have a whole episode on this in my podcast about sodium because this is one of the things. Sodium has been demonized a lot like carbs or fat, depending on what decade you're talking about. But sodium, our bodies need sodium. Our bodies require it. And as I mentioned before, your adrenals use more sodium than any other part of the body. So getting a good quality unrefined sea salt, putting a little bit in your water, cooking with it in your food. Like we need the good quality sodium. And I say good quality versus the table salt, which is just sodium chloride that's been stripped of all the other minerals, right? So a good quality sea salt. And that really will help support your body, your adrenals, like we were talking about.
I love this so much. And I will second the magnesium piece because I've been taking that for like a couple of years. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I know.
I even found this lotion at my local like
Oh,
natural
I
food
love
store. It's
it.
like a
Yeah.
magnesium lotion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Honey, I'm
So
telling
good.
everybody about it. I'm like, you need to use
You
this.
do. You do. It's true. It is true.
Oh gosh. All right. So this message has been so powerful and obviously I feel like this message is such a beautiful addition, I think, to this conversation around like sovereign summer, right? Because it's not just about looking outward for answers, but reclaiming and looking inward at our body, our energy, and our inner wisdom as a sacred source. And it's like I feel like you're kind of like that. I'm gonna use the word, I don't know, guide that guides women like towards that inner journey of like, okay, let's look inside. Let's look at what's really
Yeah.
going on. Let's connect to that. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much. I mean, obviously, there's so much more that we could talk about, but thank you for this nourishing and really powerful conversation. And I know so many women are going to walk away from this episode with new awarenesses, a deeper understanding, some ahas, right? And also some powerful steps they can begin to tap into starting today. Whenever you're listening to this, you can start today. So Hope, where can people connect with you? Where can they learn about your work or even like your podcast, right? So they get tuned into your
Yeah.
podcast. But tell us more. How can people
Yeah,
connect
for
with
sure.
you?
So my website is hopefulandwholesome.com. My podcast is the same name, so it's Hopeful and Wholesome wherever you get your podcasts. And I am at the Hope Pedraza on Instagram. I'm probably most active on Instagram, so you can connect with me there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So everyone listening, if this episode stirred something in you, I want you to share it with a friend, right? Tag me on Instagram, tag Hope on Instagram, and let us know like what landed for you. Because I think I can speak for us both here. We want you to know that you are worthy of full vitality, deep alignment, and having a sovereign relationship with your own body and your own energy. So thank you for listening. And until the next episode, have an amazing day, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Soulful Success by Design. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in it, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help me continue bringing more inspiring content your way. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design or visit my website at kendrakWoods.com for extra inspiration and resources. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember to create success from your soul and on your terms.